Welcome to Revive and Rise. I'm your host, Melody Parrish, and I want to thank you so much for choosing to spend time with us today. And I want to wrap up this series of episodes on immigration. And I want to talk briefly about experiences and ideas that I have, but also I want to take a big chunk of this episode and talk about what we can do, um, what we can do as human beings, and what we can do as people of this country to stand up and to say that these beliefs are wrong. These beliefs are not okay. These ideas are not okay. I have been in different areas and different spaces, and I consider that as a great blessing and a wonderful opportunity that's been presented to me. And I do hope that these things continue. These opportunities are continued to be offered to me. I want to debunk the idea that immigrants, take from our government, that immigrants do not work, that immigrants are just here. That's simply not true. And that's very offensive to me because I've seen the exact opposite. I have been in spaces where I've seen the exact opposite. I've worked with individuals that are from various nationalities and countries and areas. I've worked, be it the janitorial staff that I worked with, the retail staff that I worked with, the food and beverage staff that I worked with. They were always so hardworking, and they were so kind. They were so kind and so appreciative of every little thing. Most of the time, they're making money to send back home to their families. So they're working hard. They don't want to do anything to jeopardize this job because it's supporting their family. It's taking care of their loved ones that they have chosen to leave, or that they, maybe they brought their child here to give the child a better life. And this is something, and I do want to point this out. This is something that every person of this country, every American I've heard, oh, I will do anything for my child. I will do anything for my family. I will. For some reason, we always say that we will fight for our families. But these people actually do. And it makes me question that if you are so angry and so hostile about somebody doing the same thing that you claim you will do? If put in that position, would you really do it? I've heard stories from immigrants about what they go through in their countries and why they want to get away. It's not, oh, I just want a vacation. I just want to go somewhere where it's more beautiful or somewhere, where the people are different. They love their people that are there in their country. They love their communities, but the violence is just running rampant. The government is corrupt. I've heard stories of women and children that are abused, that get raped daily, sometimes multiple times in the day. People that are threatened. Somebody comes up to them with a knife or a gun or other torture devices and tells them, okay, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. If you don't give me your child, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to kill your mother, or I'm going to torture your husband, or I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I've heard stories of people that have seen corpses, that have been made to see corpses, that have seen people killed right in front of them to promote fear, to try and control them, to get to them to do what the other person wants them to do. And so, of course, they would flee. Why not? Or they see their families that are living in squalor, that are living inhumane conditions. What about the people that are fleeing war? There's so many reasons that people are leaving the countries that they were born in. Not just simply what other people think. And no American, or very few Americans, know what it's like to be in that kind of desperation. We have laws that protect us. But sometimes those laws don't even protect us. But that violence, those threats, those conditions, people just want a better life. People want to live, and people want to give their children a better life. I think a lot about that, and a lot about the starvation issue. People are starving. And I don't think very few people understand or can comprehend what starving means, what it means to be so hungry. Those words are used so loosely. Oh, I'm starving. I got to get something to eat real quick. Oh, I'm so glad I can go to, it's time for lunch because I'm starving. No, you're just hungry. You're just a little bit hungry. Starving is when you're wasting away. Starving is when you haven't had nutrition so that your muscles are just disappearing. You can't even walk anymore. You can't raise your hands. You can't move your arms anymore. you start to think differently. You can't even comprehend things. You start to get delusional because you're hungry. Those kind of things. And when you're faced with that and faced with the idea that that is happening to your family, to the child that you gave birth to the people that the woman that gave birth to you and the father that worked so hard to support you, you can't bear it, those thoughts. And these people that come here from other countries just come so that they don't have to face that. They're not wanting to take anything. They're just wanting to be able to earn what they can so that they can pass it on back to their families, to their friends, to people that they care about. And that's what all of us say we would do, right? I've seen people that immigrate to this country work so hard and do some of the most deplorable jobs and be treated with such disrespect and so negatively. And it's not just people from other countries, it's anyone here that maybe live in poverty, maybe have a darker skin color, maybe practice a different religion. It's those people as well. And it's heartbreaking. Again, that us and them division and the ideas and beliefs that cause that division. And people have villainized these populations of people so much to where, and created the us and them so much and so deeply to where it's a focus, anything negative. Well, the whole idea that immigrants are criminals, are rapists, are, these deplorable people, as they're called, is ridiculous. If you really watch the news, this person was murdered today. This person was robbed. This person was this person was that. If you look, most of them, very few are immigrants. Most of them are people of this country that were born here, and most of them are Caucasian. And I look at that, and it's everywhere. If you really pay attention and don't just take people's words and people's despicable ideas, if you just look around, you see that. You can see for yourself. It's just that people focus on one thing. I mean, look at mass shooters, school shooters. Any of those people that have done simply that. Most of them are Caucasian. Most of them are people that were born here. If you look at serial killers, most of them are Caucasian as well. You know, you look at David Koresh, Ted Bundy, all of these horrendous killers, Charles Manson, you know, they're Caucasian. And yet you never hear that. You never hear that, oh, these people that have done these terrible things and committed these horrible crimes are actually people that were born in this country. You don't focus on that. Nobody focuses on that. And so I want to give some pushback to those ideas that have been kind of drilled in to people's minds because they're not true. And you can see and you can look and you can see the facts around you. Now, I want to take a moment and just talk about what we can do as a society and as a people to make a change. Simple things. You know, we can do simple things or we can do grandiose things. And I think the problem is that the problem is big. And that we think that the solution has to be big. And then we get overwhelmed because we could never do that. Oh, I can't do anything like that, so it doesn't matter. Whatever I can do doesn't matter, but it does. Oh, it does. It matters greatly. And I'm just talking about simple things like, you know, going to visit a food pantry or a population that is mainly different than you. Go and learn. Read books about different things. Read books about cultural experiences and cultural practices. Read books written by people from other countries. There's so many books that are written, and read books about the suffering of other countries and the genocide and the war that's going on and how people are treated and what trauma it can cause. Go visit places where those with mental illness will be. Go experience the laughing, the joy. I can remember different experiences from the AME church that I had a blast at when I was in college to working with at the food pantry, working at the free medical clinics, working with our roofless friends, and then going to other countries. The place where I saw the absolute greatest and most pure joy I have ever seen in my 44 years of life was on my trip to Ghana, to see those beautiful people. We were just setting up a medical clinic, a tent in the middle of a field, just to give medical care to these people. Everyone came out in their beautiful clothes with their most brilliant colors, the best clothes they had. The children were there playing with each other. You know, they got to see old friends. Sure, they were sick, they were in pain, but they were so happy to see each other and to be offered things. We talked to them, we played with children, I still remember the beautiful sound of those children's laugh. And we played patty cake, simple things like that, patty cake, chase, throwing a ball. I watched those children. I watched those parents that were so happy that their children were getting to play. I watched how they were so thankful for bags of pure water that they could drink in the heat of the day. These were beautiful people in a beautiful culture, and the absolute most joy I have seen and most satisfaction and appreciation. So I suggest you do things like that, not just giving things, because those things are great. It's great to give items that people need. It's great to supply food that people need to take care of those immediate needs. But then what's also so important, and so vital is the experience. Having conversations with people, treating people like human beings and not a problem and not trash on the street. I've heard those things over and over and over. I want people to see me instead of looking through me. I want people to see me instead of seeing a problem. I want people to see me as a human being, to talk to me, to smile at me. And I think about my interactions with people that I didn't speak their language. When I was in Ghana, they spoke their village language, which was Twi. I didn't speak that. We had to have interpreters. But I smiled at them. I touched their hand. I gave them hugs. And that transcends any language barrier. Those simple things, or just simply learning hello in another language. When you can just say hello to somebody in their language and they can hear that, that means a lot. That means so much to people, just to know that you took the time to learn something to communicate with them, to be able to communicate with them. You took the time to come over and acknowledge them as a human being. Those are simple things. Have coffee with somebody and just have a conversation. These are things that I've done. They're suggestions, but they're not things that you have to do. I remember someone on the street. They asked me for some change, some spare change, and I looked into their eyes, and I saw like a softness. I saw a kindness. I saw the idea that this is not the way my life was supposed to be. This is not what I thought was going to happen to me. And I just asked them, I said, well, instead of money, can we just go and have breakfast? So, me and this gentleman sat and had breakfast together, and we just talked, just like friends would talk to each other. And that meant so much to me that he would take the time to spend with me, just having breakfast and chatting. So I just I'm just making suggestions. Take your time and do something. You'll meet people and you'll have conversations with people. You'll see things. We have a disaster zone right in North Carolina. When the hurricane came through, it destroyed so many cities and so many things in that area: roads, bridges, houses, property. They're going to spend decades trying to recover. But a beautiful experience would be to go and help rebuild, use your skills. You have something to offer, and you will learn something. You will learn something about the human spirit. You will learn about humanity. You may even learn a skill different than what you had before. You'll have conversations with people that you may have never, ever met otherwise. But they can give you a wealth of knowledge that you can take with you. So these are just a couple of suggestions that I have, and ways that I think can really, really make a difference. Also, if you feel so inclined, write to your representatives, write to your government officials, write to them, and just tell them, explain to them, they work for us. They work for this country. They work for what we want. We elected them. So make your voice known. Make your idea known. Make your experience known, because where there's one voice, there are other ones. And if we can bind those voices together, then we can create shouts, and we can create screams, and we can create cries for people to be treated with dignity, respect, and love. And we can create a demand for laws that will do that. And if we write enough, if we call enough, get out and organize a peaceful protest. Because if people see that change is demanded, change is wanted, then they'll be forced to do it. But if we stay quiet, if we just let these things happen, if we stay quiet, then it'll just continue to happen. All of these injustices will just continue to happen. People will continue to be hurt. People will continue to die. People will continue to get mistreated. As a human being, we need to love each other. We need to support each other. And we need to speak out for those who can't speak for themselves. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And I want to remind you that we're all on this journey together, and that you do not have to struggle alone. Thank you.